Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. Hey there, friends, and welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, episode number 63. Today, I have a great guest for you. I think you're going to love to meet my friend, my bookkeeper, Kelly Christian from KC and Company, which is an online bookkeeping business. And today, don't roll your eyes, don't run away. I know we're talking about bookkeeping and math, but like we always do here on the show, I want to give you some practical information if you're feeling like your bookkeeping is a hot mess. And confession time, during the interview, I share my hot messness about my bookkeeping and what that was like when I first met Kelly, how hard it was for me to kind of jump into the tech side and all of the things that I felt that was overwhelming me about really getting some help where I needed it. I am the first to share often here on the podcast that you should hire to your weakness. And I am telling you right now, just because I could didn't mean I should. So we can DIY a lot of things in our business and bootstrap a lot of things as we're starting, as we're growing. But I will tell you right now, bookkeeping is the number one thing we don't want to mess around with. We don't want to have as a big hot mess. If our marketing's not perfect or if we don't have quite the right inventory, those are important things that we can work on. But if we have a mess of our books, it's detrimental to the future of our business. If we get audits, if we need funding, there's been a lot of retailers that I know that weren't able to get funding during all the COVID and the grants and all the things that were around because they didn't have their books up to date. Also, just the peace of mind for me personally, and for many of the retailers that I know, just understanding and having your books up to date, reading your profit and loss and your balance sheets and understanding all of that, having that all in order, oh man, you will sleep better at night. So if you have been wondering why you should hire a bookkeeper, how to do it, what it's all about, I don't know, I can't do it. Kelly shares some really big gold nuggets with us. When we recorded this podcast, we actually didn't have a plan, but she just shared, as far as, I just wanted her to share her wisdom with you. She shares a lot of tips on how to find a bookkeeper, what to ask. I love how she explains how to find a bookkeeper. It's very simplified for us, and the benefits and the different ways that you can hire a bookkeeper and find somebody and the different costs to it. Really, to be honest, it can be, you can do it yourself if you get set up right. And I think it's a really, really important episode. If you are struggling, you don't have your books all tickety-boo and perfect and feeling great about your bookkeeping, which honestly, my friends, between you and me, there's a lot of people, a lot of retailers I work with, huge, big, giant retailers and tiny little, maybe booth space retailers that just, doesn't matter. We all need to get our books in order. It doesn't matter what size your business is. It doesn't matter what type of business you have. If you are running a retail business of any size, don't assume everybody else has it all together. This is your call. This is your wake-up call if you've been waiting for one on how in the world am I going to get control of my bookkeeping. Listen to this episode. We'll get you there. This is going to be the one that people always say, I'm not going to listen to this one because we're going to talk about bookkeeping. And today I want to introduce you to Kelly, who's my bookkeeper. And I'm so excited to bring you on here, Kelly. And I've shared a little bit about your story in the intro and your business. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business and what you do?
You bet. So I've been doing this, since university is where I started, and waitressing and going through school and segued a few times, but ended up about 6 years ago focusing on online businesses because my big dream, much like Wendy's as well, is about traveling and being able to, once the kids were done, being able to have a remote business, right? So it worked out that the market that I loved in online marketing and online businesses aligns really nicely with that goal, because a lot of your people, some, if they're, brick and mortars, maybe not as much, but now that everybody's been able to move to online, it just gives you the ability to work from anywhere truly, right? You're still working, but
Right.
so that's been our journey, is to get to that point in our business. And then, learning to be very specific about all the pieces that go in with people who are running an online business. We've got a team that is amazing and loves on our people hard. And that's, it's been really great to walk that journey from being by myself to having a team and growing in and supporting some businesses that are doing really, really cool things. So it's nice to see.
It is. It's so
Yeah.
fun. It's fun to watch you. So Kelly does virtual bookkeeping. So let's talk
Mm.
about that, like as you just said. So you can do it from anywhere. As your team are not sitting in an office with you
No.
someplace.
Yeah.
You and I are on opposite ends of the country, and you are my
Yeah.
bookkeeper. I wanted to just so let's talk about that first.
Yeah.
Virtually, there seems to be a fear a little bit with retailers. First of all, handing off bookkeeping, and then how that can happen, and how do we communicate, and all of the things. And I
Yeah.
was one of those holdouts
Mhm.
for a long time. And Kelly knows my story well. I feel like I've stood naked in front of Kelly with my books, but that's how we feel. No, but that's how we feel, right?
True
We
though.
feel like we're doing that. So I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest, and I've always shared on the podcast here. I've always shared my stories, but
Mhm.
my story was that I came to Kelly as a really big hot mess. And as a
Mhm.
business coach, sometimes it's hard to admit that, but we had two businesses we were running. Both of them had separate books, all of that kind of thing. And when I found Kelly, I knew I needed help. I was tired of spending every Sunday just getting
Yeah.
by with my bookkeeping. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Mhm.
That's what I say. And we should stay in our zone of genius when you can, when you're at a position, where to me it is an investment in peace of mind, big time. And we'll pull apart that a little bit. But my mess was messy. I feel like it was really big, messy. And I came to Kelly with like literally no idea how to talk virtually to a
Mhm.
bookkeeper. What do I do with the paper? What do I do with the paper? I'm a paper girl. I have lots of papers. There's papers everywhere. Can you talk a little bit about, or can you share with retailers a little bit on how, like the systems and the things that we can use and put in place for bookkeeping
Yeah.
virtually, and how that
Yeah.
works?
Yeah, there's a lot of tools out there, even if you're not going to be working with someone, to just make all of that paper piece easier. Because in the rules are a little bit different, Canada and US, as far as what we need to retain technically for the government. Canada, you still have to save anything that's paper first. But having a filing system is the big piece that I said, and that was the one that I move everyone to, is having some kind of online filing system that automates it for you. And that's a big thing. Like, so there's Receipt Bank, and then there's UpDoc, are the two big players in that piece. But they take your documents and pull the data out automatically, sort of give the information, file it for you, creates the folder. So you're not got this Google Drive folder or, Outlook folders in your email, and you don't know where receipts are. And if that's the big one, number one piece is, and that's involved that most of your, even for brick and mortar retails, most of your receipts are coming by email now. So then it makes it even easier, because then there's just forwarding email addresses. You can just take that, set that up, and forward that into your online filing cabinet, and it's all there done. And then if you work with someone, they have full access to that. You can find it. It's searchable. It is the big piece that I recommend for everybody. And I think HubDoc's $15 a month. Now, if you're not with the accounting software, and it's well worth everybody, I think, getting into something like that, just for that ease of not having to be having some kind of naming convention. You've got to remember every time, or not naming and not be able to find your damn receipts, right? Excuse me.
Right.
It's crazy, like going through an audit. And that's where I always try, when we work with people, we want to set them up that if you get audited, it's not like a week's worth of work to gather all those pieces you need, because I've been through it. I've been through it with many clients, and it is onerous and it is awful. And it's always at the most inopportune moment is when it comes, and you have no time and you're trying to like find this stuff. Having some kind of system like that is amazing because then you just go in, you grab your stuff, download it, upload it to the government site, and you're done. Like it's that easy.
Right.
So that's the first piece. Yeah. And it has, you have apps for your phone that you just take a picture of your receipts. That piece is number one. So when we work with clients, we set them up on that kind of system first, on an online filing system. And then those all work with an accounting software. It isn't necessary to have an accounting software depending on where you're at, because cash flow, sometimes they end up being as another monthly fee, right? And that adds up sometimes.
It is, but let's talk about that. So
Yeah,
I'm a believer that, we don't want to just be randomly spending money. I'm forever
that's
talking
right.
about cutting your expenses and watching your expenses. You and I have
Hmm.
conversations about this, but there's certain things that I think we should invest in, and having
Yeah,
a good accounting system as a
yeah,
retailer. So we can have so an accounting system is different than a POS system. This is where a lot
that's
of retailers miss this
yeah,
piece. Your
yeah.
POS system is what's running your cash register and keeping your reports and, all of that thing. The second part is an accounting system, and that's where your expenses and everything. I personally think I recommend every retailer
Mhm.
have an accounting system. A spreadsheet's not going to cut it if you want to grow and see success.
If you have inventory and you're running a lot more, like if you're just starting and you're doing very basics, there's still, I would rather suggest you go with a really good spreadsheet, or you jump up into the next level into Zero, QuickBooks, whatever that looks like for you for software, and skip that free wave, blah, 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 and
Right.
those ones in the middle, because you have to jump out of those at some point. So I recommend either you start here and but make the jump all the way with forward thinking that you're going to be moving into something, right?
I'm I'm
I
like,
don't
I'm not, again, I don't want retailers to hear me say that, just go ahead, waste money. But
know.
I think you should start as you wish to proceed.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
again,
yeah,
why save it? So I recommend regularly starting with a bookkeeper, like
yeah,
right off the bat, because
yeah,
you are smarter than me when it, you know the rules, the laws.
mm,
They're
yeah,
changing all the time. You keep it clean. I know that we could get set up and then you could teach me. Maybe that's the other way, like, just keeping up
mm,
and whatever. But
yeah,
having a good accounting system and having this virtual life that you have put me on, and I am
mm,
a hardcore non-techie. I am a hardcore
yeah,
non-techie. Poor Kelly has like put it in the Google Doc. I can't find the Google Doc. Like that's the drive or whatever. So, but this whole virtual thing now, I can jump in. So we use Zero, and I share that with people.
mhm,
We use Zero, and I love it. Like, so Kelly can go in and she's posting things in, she's doing things, and then I can actually jump in anytime. It's not like, it's just,
yeah,
we both have access to it. It's wonderful. The Hub Doc that she's speaking about, I have a receipt. I literally, again, like she said, you just forward it. So I get an invoice in for, product. I can just forward it to it. I get an invoice for services. I just forward. I don't even have to do anything with it now. I just send it off to my HubDoc email. I'm forwarding email. If you have team members that have expenses or, like
mhm,
of our businesses and, in another city. So they were like scanning, sending and just sending it off. So
yeah,
it's a really great way to stay organized. And that is such a big thing for retailers, that peace of mind of staying organized and then seeing it all actually. It goes from like this little receipt that I have for products I bought or for something, merchandising, whatever, to literally living in my accounting software. Like it's like the
yeah,
$12 that you spent on, whatever is now $12 as an expense not immediately, but really quickly. And
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
so,
no,
it's
it
so,
is nice, right? Yeah,
yeah. And so, again, and a lot of POS systems speak to the accounting software, like
that's
they all
that's
speak to each other. So this automation, this tech stuff, this
mhm,
tech stuff, this is why I wanted to bring you on here. Not the only reason, but one of the fears retailers have is
yeah,
that leap from,
yeah,
oh, I don't want to spend the money, but it is so, I don't want to spend the money and I'm afraid. Those are the two things, right? We're
yeah.
scared to, I also think there's this, they're going to see my numbers thing.
When we talk about that, that's one of the pieces that all my team, whenever I hire somebody, I said, like, basically what I say is that, so we have to treat our people when they come to us as if how you feel, and we've got all women right now, how you feel when you go and get your pap done. Because it's exactly the same thing. Because
Right.
you gotta they've got to open up to us and show us everything, good, bad, and indifferent. And it's gotta be all about compassion and caring and heart-centered as far as and not everyone is that way, but that's our focus, is to be like that. Because
Right.
and I, like Wendy, my backstory is I carried debt like huge, and I was ongoing. And it's like the shoemaker and the shoes, right? There was quite a bit of an issue there. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying, but it's not the same, right? And this is, it's come full circle, and we're, there. But at the same time, I fully understand all of that hot mess. But that's a big point when if we're talking, if you're going to go and find someone for your retailers, make sure that they're doing their homework and finding. And Dave Ramsey, I followed him for years, right? And he has a phrase that I really, really love. And I'm going to say it now because I'm never going to remember at the end when you ask. But this one is really great. I love this one for people, is that when you're looking for someone to work with you in your business, especially with your finances, you want to find someone, like he says, that has the heart of a teacher. So they're willing to teach you and grow with you and go through the hard things, and know that if you're getting a divorce, how are we going to manipulate this through your business, right? Someone that cares enough to pay attention and ask those questions. And that's where a lot of people go in going, oh, I just have to do this. They've told me what to do, and don't have any power around making a choice that's a good fit, right? Because we get caught up in, our fears or insecurities around money and all that piece. So you end up with someone that maybe isn't the person that is really going to help guide you as you grow your business, right? So that's a really big piece and it's sort of off topic that way, but I think definitely heart of a teacher, when you're looking for someone. And then as far as working together, like we offer a couple different ways to work together. We do, all done for you, like Wendy. She just puts her receipts in and it's all done.
I'm overdoing it myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But we also have one that's a nice medium place. And when you're starting out, cash flow is always tight, right? Cash flow is king, profit is king. That is really important for everyone. And I think we've got a mid-range program where we get you set up. And that, I think, it's our fastest growing program right now, because people have started these business with COVID. They've taken off. They've gone online component now, and they're going, oh my goodness, I've got all these. I've got Shopify. I've got, Etsy. I've got payment processors coming from PayPal and Stripe.
PayPal.
And trying to figure that out in a conventional desktop paper-based system is craziness. There are better ways. And so we found that's the piece that people, they come in, they want to learn how to do it. They want it set up for them, and we give them that so they know it's all done correctly from the beginning. So then maybe they do it for a year and go, okay, business has grown so much that now I can say, hey, I want to be Wendy. I don't want to do this anymore because I don't have time. It's a seamless transition. But they also know that they're not going to get hit a year from now, that they've sort of set up this mumbo jumbo system that they think works. Go to your accountant or your tax preparer, and they're like, oh my God, no, this is all wrong. The sales taxes are done incorrectly all year long, right? Having someone that will help you at least get that started, whatever your system needs to look like, you need to find someone that understands your business,
right?
That can speak the language of your business, because every type of business has so like I work with massage. We've got quite a range, but we've got some energy healers, and they're a really neat fit for us because they go to normal traditional accountants. And then they come to us and like, well, so where's your receipts for crystals? Where's your receipts for your incense? Where's the receipts for your essential oils? And they're like, well, no one ever said I could write that off. And I'm like, well, they don't know to ask questions, or they don't care. Usually it's just not knowing. So that's a piece that's important to look for, is finding someone that speaks that language of what you're doing. Specific retail niches, you need to have someone that understands that, right?
Yeah.
And all the different integrated pieces that come in, especially when you move it into an online, because most, I know a lot of your retailers have been forced to push ahead into an online presence that maybe they weren't planning to do because of COVID, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's such a good point. I love that Dave Ramsey, that concept of the defined a teacher. That's really
someone that's got a heart, with the heart of a teacher is what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
be there because
Because
it's
it is a personal thing. I don't want to just hand my
personal.
bookkeeping off to you. Like Kelly and I have
Mhm.
conversations. We talk about things. So my business is weird because I have like so Front Porch Mercantile. For those that don't know, that's like my legal name. And then we ran a store. And when I first met Kelly, we had the shop, we have wholesale,
Mhm.
we had the studio. I had my coaching. Those are a lot of weird revenue streams, right? I was
Yeah.
running. Money was coming in from the all over the world. I coach all over the world, but it was also coming in
Uh-huh.
locally. I had cost of goods. So Kelly helped me put all of that together, and with patience, I will say, because
Mhm.
again,
Mhm.
I'm being super honest about and super open about the fact
It's
that
hard.
it was a hot mess, and I see and I hear it so much. They don't know how to get out of this thing. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing those tips on, being not vulnerable, but well, it is being vulnerable, but getting it out of that mess. I will tell you, this is a funny story. I don't even know if I've ever told Kelly this, but every Sunday morning I would like have my coffee. That was the time I would like, which is like ridiculous, like every Sunday morning. And I have
Relaxing
I have
Sunday morning.
two bins. I have two bins next to me, like two inboxes, and that's where all the receipts and the things would pile up and all the stuff. And sometimes I would just get to the paying invoices and doing that kind of stuff. Which, by the way, I still do that stuff, guys. You don't lose
Mm.
control of everything if you have a
No.
bookkeeper. But now it's so controlled, and anyway, it's just so easy. But every Sunday morning I come in, and sometimes I would just get to that. A lot of times I'd feel terrible about myself. Like, oh, I got to get to those piles. I got to get to those piles. I got to get to those piles. We can't grow our business if we're not looking at the numbers, if we're not paying
Yeah.
attention every month. And we have to be looking at our profit and loss and our balance sheets. How do I know how much inventory I have if it's sitting in a pile? It's
Mhm.
not my strong suit. I can do it, but I don't want to do it. Right. Like, I mean, and I did do it for years. I did my husband's business for years and years and years. And things change. And on that note, so
Mhm.
now I do hand it all over. It is worth the investment to me for peace of mind.
Yeah.
I don't find it a crazy investment, truthfully, a crazy investment for the peace of mind that we get from it. The biggest peace of mind. Let's talk about this. You touched on this, but I know you didn't want to say it. Is the are the audits? Like we've had random audits,
Mhm.
nothing like flag raising. We haven't done anything wrong. I'm like a rule follower all the time. That's
Yeah.
why I hired Kelly. I wanted everything to be, but we've had random audits, and I'm going to
Mhm.
tell you, being able to say, Kelly,
Mhm.
or,
It's just
I've got like, oh my gosh, this,
oh,
in
the
Canada,
payroll guy, right?
CRA.
Right now, payroll
Yes.
review.
So we have a
But
payroll
it's good.
review.
The payroll review is fine. Here, take it all. It's all good. It's
Yeah.
ready. It's quick,
So
right?
literally
Yeah.
within an hour, like, or whatever, I know
Yeah.
whatever, we had a conversation, and like, Kelly speaks to the CRA guy, and I didn't have to. And it just, thank you for like taking care of me.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
it's like, but it's just like, again, it's always at the crappiest time. Like I'm in the middle of training. I got a big live session
Mhm.
going on. What am I, and they don't like to wait. They give you deadlines and you have to fill them.
Yeah.
But the document searching and, going through my files and getting them out and photocopying them and upload, I didn't do any of that. It's just like Kelly's like, zip, 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 here's a thing. And it's all in my online box on, CRA. So
Yeah.
again, peace of mind for me. This is always worth it to me. It's also, again, we can't grow what we don't measure, just to go back to that.
Yeah.
So we say that
Absolutely.
a lot, and like I'll be like, what does that mean? What does that mean? But if we're not paying attention to the numbers, we can get in trouble really quick.
Yeah,
Like we
absolutely.
can get in trouble.
Especially if you're buying a lot of inventory, because that's a huge carrying cost. And can you afford to carry that? That is a big deal, right? Like inventory is another whole piece
in
that
inventory.
retailers really it's a bit more of a scary part of the model, right? And that's what makes retail that much more. I'm not going to say dicey, but it is. It's a harder one to not have numbers in place is really scary to me for someone that is running inventory,
Yeah, and
right? You
and
just don't know.
I know if you're listening and you don't have your numbers together, it's okay. You're not alone. I do.
No, you're not. You're
I do.
not. But it is scary for me to look at someone like that. If you're bringing in a bunch of inventory and not being able to look and see like, is this going to support how do you know how much to bring then? Because you don't know what your historical is, what your forward planning is. Like there's so many pieces that it's so much more integral, especially if you're
Right.
spending.
And bookkeeping and cash flow and all that, it's not just the money in the bank, my friends. And I know I say that, I harp on that. We've talked a lot about that during COVID year. Like we've talked a lot about
Yeah.
that. And so the money podcast, this is really funny. The money podcasts are always like the medicine podcasts. I always laugh because people want to hear me talk about marketing. They don't, but I feel these are the
Yeah.
ones I feel like I'm going to make mandatory for my inner circle members. It's like you have to go listen to Kelly and I talk, simply because it's just so crucial and such an important piece,
Yeah.
and that someday I'll get around to it. That pile's there,
It
but I'll
just
get
lets
around
you
to it.
sleep at night, right? You're not
Oh,
laying doing that, oh man, I don't know. Like it's the not knowing that we put our head in the sand because it seems like too much and it seems so hard and it's kind of scary a lot of the time for a lot of people. You put your head in the sand, but the head in the sand just means that you're not sleeping and you're stressing and you're always worried about that brown envelope that comes in the mail from the government that you don't want to open because you don't have the rest of the piece together. And that's what I want everybody to not be feeling, right? Like, and it's fairly easy option to not feel it. It's not, and I say easy because once it's done, it's easy. There is that it's about 3 months we find with clients to get them to the point where it sort of starts to roll and starts to feel like, okay, this isn't so hard. But the first month of getting things going there's some work. It's not like, because you've got to connect stuff. You've got to figure out how all that stuff comes together, paper, non-paper, shopping carts and inventory lines. And there's a lot of pieces there. So there is an investment. You've got to make the investment of time and opening yourself up to, being open to someone that's going to support you. But in the end, it's well worth it because you can just sit and go, okay, when that brown envelope comes, I know we're good. I don't have to worry about it.
it's
And
that, and it's also just I don't know. You're absolutely right, but it's just, it's the
mhm,
I feel like that's exactly how I felt. Like I was avoiding the brown envelopes. The brown
mhm,
envelopes coming from the
mhm.
government is what she's talking about. But the
I don't know
call.
what color they are in the US, but I'm assuming they're
Yeah,
brown.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they're brown
There's
too.
and they're just random, or you get behind. So here in
Yeah.
Canada, we have HST taxes. I know in the US they have taxes.
Mhm.
Different taxes due different states. And the funny part is, I always had the money to pay it. I just didn't know how much to pay. Like that sounds ridiculous. So I was getting
Yeah.
behind in paying my HST because I didn't have my reports done, because I didn't have the paperwork done, because I didn't have enough
Yeah.
time Sunday morning, because I was trying to run a business, right? I was trying to grow my business. And how do I grow my business when I'm trying to bury my head in the sand with the paperwork? So it
Yeah.
was tough, and it was 3 months for us. It's funny. That's exactly what it was
Mhm.
for us.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable. But here's the thing, my
It is.
friends, those of you
Yeah.
listening that are like, if you've just had enough and you're just done feeling like
Yeah.
a hot mess about your finances and your money stuff, with that head in the sand, you have to be ready. Like I was ready. I was so over it. I was so ready. I was so wanting to find somebody, and I feel very grateful to have found you, Kelly. Thank you. You're like,
Thank you.
but Kelly is,
I'm grateful to have you. I love having clients that I would just be friends with, right? Like that's the
yeah,
neat the people
yeah.
we work with.
Kelly and I often joke, we say, we kind of like, she's like family because she's in my number. Like she does my husband's
Mhm.
books or both our books or whatever, but we could meet on a beach someplace in Mexico.
Yep.
And I'll send you my bookkeeping virtually. No, I'm just, kidding. But it is super important to not ignore the numbers. So thank you for coming here and
Oh
having
no.
a conversation. I've been wanting to put this together, but it's tax season and COVID
Yeah, that's
world,
good.
and
COVID.
COVID
Yeah.
has made, this has made so many bookkeepers just crazy, right? You're just crazy. Like
It has. It's also opened people's eyes a lot to where their weak spots were with their books because you can't get grants, you can't get funding, you can't get any support unless you were, caught up. So it's led a lot of people, I think, to some aha moments about like I need to do something different here because I'm missing out on this because I wasn't up to speed, right? So it's been good for us to be able to support people through that, but it's been really busy. So
yeah, that's a really good point. I've seen lots of retailers
mm,
not able to get any funding, that's
yeah.
free money or whatever, not available because they just didn't have their books done and they didn't have
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. Like, that's there to help them through all this, and it's
yeah,
just really sad to watch that happen. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. Wonderful. Great.
I was just going to say, if anybody is ever looking for you have any questions, you have anything, always feel free to reach out to us. We're happy. It's not like it's, going to be some automated anything. We've always got email. pop an email in if you're ever stuck. We can, if we can't support you, especially if you're in the US and you need someone, you've got specific sales tax kind of issues. We've got a lot of good connections for people who, work with their clients like we do, that I'm happy to recommend to support you if you have specific needs there, because, we want to make sure if we're ever talking with someone that we're going to give information that we're 100% sure of. And if we aren't, then we'll definitely be able to guide you to someone who can, for sure. So
thank you. And we're gonna put Kelly's information and her company information. She has an amazing website. I think your website's amazing. You have so much information on your website. And again, Kelly is in Canada, but there's lots of resources, as she mentioned, or you can contact her and, maybe you can help recommend, because it is hard to find heart-centered. This was where I got stuck. Heart-centered, actually have a conversation with me, understood online, e-commerce world, PayPal, all of those things, because they are different, and tax laws and all of the things. So that's, I was a blessing for me when other online retailers recommended you to me. So we'll put all of your information as well too.
Yeah, I've got it online in our.
What is that called? Thank you. Yeah.
I use Member Vault to deliver it, so which is kind of cool. I really like that software, but it's an online sort of our. I should know the name of this. This is awful.
Like a checklist. It's a starter list.
Natasha will have in my head that I don't know the name.
We're really good posting. You're a good guest.
Oh my gosh.
That thing.
But yeah, money's other people's issue. Mine's marketing. I'm just like, that's my our Achilles heel. But no, we got it's the starter library is what we call it. And it's basically where any kind of links to any free, spreadsheets or PDFs or, Facebook Lives that we've done about all sorts of different topics are all in that one spot. So that link will be there, and you can just go in there and see if there's anything there that helps you. And then it's also got the links to our other products if you need any support. We even do one-to-one consulting. So if you just go, no, I just need 2 hours with someone to sort of get my head straight, we do that as well, right? So there's lots of ways to get some support.
So we'll be sure to have all that information. Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. Make sure you join our Rockstar Creatives Facebook group. We will continue the conversation over there weekly. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.